Alright, what is up guys? VV back with another video. And today we're going to be talking about Sakazuki, the new blue and black leader coming out in OP05. Okay, it is a little ways away for us over here in the West. You know, it's a little ways away for us over here. But it's still going to be fun to look at the new decks coming out. Yeah, little spoiler style videos, teasers. So just a heads up right away. If you don't know about OP05 yet, we're going to be going over a few of those cards. Okay, so spoiler warning. Alright, so let's go ahead and hop right into it, guys. So for those, a lot of people watching these videos probably already know me, but I always go for the black cards, right? The navy black decks are like my real big focus. Dressrosa is fine too with Rebecca, but anytime there's a black deck, I'm going to run it, even if it's like black yellow, black red, black blue, black purple, doesn't matter to me. Or I'll at least brainstorm it and try to come up with ideas, because I just kind of like the way those cards are, how they KO based off of cost. They KO based off of cost, but they also have a lot of control elements. Like you look at Borsalino with you know, being Fukuro and Borsalino, Smoker, how they kind of have some you know, evasion, so to speak. Like they have the ability to, they have resilience, I guess would be a better word for it, where they're not easy to take care of. Now, we're going to talk about it a little bit, but there are blue cards that really have no problem dealing with them now, right? And there's a few other effects as well coming out from red purple, like with Trafalgar Law, where we're seeing a lot of bottom deck attacks or answers that involve bottom decking cards. So let's go ahead and dive into it. All right, so Sakazuki here, this is a 5,000 power leader, 4 life, very average stats for a multicolored leader. Has 2 abilities though, 2 effects here. Activate main, once per turn, you may discard 1 card, draw 1 card. Okay, just a straight up mill effect, right? So if you get a card in hand that you're not really, you know, you're not really keen on that card, like, okay, I wish I had a better card here. Okay, trash it, draw another card. Now it is once per turn, of course, on your turn, because it's activate main, but you get the point. That's a potentially very powerful effect, and just to give you a heads up, keep that this effect in mind, because you're going to see this theme a lot in this deck. Okay. Then it has a when attacking effect of give up to one of your opponent's characters -1 to their cost for the turn during this turn. This is just a strange translation, but it gets the point across. Okay. So let's go ahead and look in this list, or look at this list. Now we will have 3 lists altogether. Excuse me, can't talk right now. So first I'm going to read through the cards, and then we'll talk about them. The list is running 4 Borsalinos, 4 Tashigi, the 2K counter, 4 Tsuru, 2K counter, 4 Fukuro, 4 One-Legged Toy Soldier, this is another 2K counter, 4 Rob Lucci. Now this is the OP05 Rob Lucci, not the one from OP04. 4 Dracula Mihawk, excuse me, 4 Sogeking, 4 Zeph, 4 Kaido, 2 Borsalino, the new 7 cost blue Borsalino, 4 Marineford, that's very interesting, we're going to talk about that, and then 4 Sanji's Pilaf. Okay, Sanji's Pilaf, yeah, this is draw 2 cards. Okay, alright, so let's go ahead and talk about this. Borsalino, I'm going to skip over. If you don't know what this card does, please pause it and study this card. This is a very important card. If you're splashing any variant of black in your deck, then you need to know what this card does. It is just an absolute powerhouse in the meta. No matter what deck you're running that's black, will probably be able to splash this card in it. Even a Dressrosa deck could probably splash this card in it if they needed to. It just has that much utility and versatility. Okay. Next up is Tashigi. This is a 2K counter that has the ability on, you know, activate main, -2 to something's cost. Tsuru, same thing. On play, -2 to something's cost. And let me skip over Fukuro for a minute. One-Legged Toy Soldier also is like Tashigi, but it's a 2K counter. Now it's not Navy, it is Dressrosa, but it's a 2-cost 2K counter that has activate main, trash this character, and give up to one of your opponent's characters -3 to their cost during this turn. Okay, so these 2K counters are very strong, and we have 12. 12 is a very solid number of 2K counters, right? That is an excellent number to, you know, to have for 2K counters. Fukuro, I skipped over. Same idea here with Borsalino, or as Borsalino. Fukuro and Borsalino are just the resilient characters I was talking about earlier that Black offers, where, you know, it's almost like a subtype, or, you know, a minor theme within Black. Like, yes, cost reduction and KOing based off of cost, that is a big deal in the Black decks, but also resilience is like a minor theme. Just like in Red, you know, I feel like Unblockable is a minor theme in Red where you don't see it a lot, but it is like on Diable Jambe or the 5-cost Luffy. Okay. Excuse me. So next up is the first card we really need to take a second to talk about from OP05. And this is going to tie into so many things. Okay. First off, this is a 4-cost, 6,000 power Rob Lucci. That alone is, you can't ask for any more when it comes to stats for that cost. A 4-cost character is like a vanilla 4-cost character with no ability is going to have 6,000 power and then a 1,000 counter. So what are we giving up, you know, for this 1,000 counter? Or excuse me, what are we getting for giving up the 1K counter? On play, you may place 3 cards from your trash on the bottom of your deck in any order. Then KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less, and up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 1 or less. Okay, that is potentially a double kill, right? And remember, well, I don't know if I should say remember, for those who don't know, a lot of Black cards, as a cost to KO a single character, you're having to trash a card from hand, right? While we're you know, while we're talking about this, I should bring up over here on the side examples of what I'm saying. So the first example for me would be Kobe, right? So I'm just going to drag this over. Kobe, you may trash 1 card from your hand, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less. Then you look at a very well-known card, Sakazuki, right? We all know what this does. On play, you may trash 1 card from your hand to KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a 5 cost or less, or with a cost of 5 or less. Well, Rob Lucci does not have that. It does not have this restriction of, okay, trash a card. No, it's you place 3 cards from your trash on the bottom of your deck in any order, and then KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less, and one that's a 1 or less. So not only does this have the potential to KO 1 character and not trash a card, it has the potential to KO 2 characters without trashing a card, but instead feeding the cards to the bottom of your deck. So, what does that mean? That means that this effect on our leader to trash a card and draw a card needs to be used pretty much as soon as every turn if possible. If possible, you need to be using this effect every single turn, this trash a card, draw a card, because that's fueling your trash. Okay? The one-legged toy soldier also fuels your trash after you use its effect. And remember, if someone attacks you, if someone attacks your leader or one of your characters, if you block with a Fukuro or a Borsalino, or more realistically, the Borsalino, if they attack your characters and you have to block with Borsalino, you can counter out to save your Borsalino and fuel your trash at the same time. Okay, and then we're going to come across a few cards down here as well that could potentially fuel your trash as well. So, now the real question becomes, how strong is this character? It might seem like, well, you're only KOing a 2 or less and a 1 or less. You know, that's not even very good, right? And that's true. That's not very good. Now, but it's still good. But how does that translate into the late game, right? Well, I'm glad you asked. No, I'm just kidding. but the way that translates into the late game is with Sakazuki the leader, so -1 cost here. You have all of these minus costs on your 2K counters. Remember, we talked about all these. Potentially, you don't have to. It just depends on what's on the board. And then, a card we're going to look at in a second, Marineford. This card, let's go ahead and talk about this card, actually. So this is a 1-cost event from ST06. This is from the Absolute Justice starter deck, or you know, structure deck, whatever it's called. This is a 1-cost event, or excuse me, stage. If I said event, excuse me, stage. It's a 1-cost stage that has an on-play, give up to one of your opponent's characters -1 of their cost during this turn. Okay? And activate main. You may rest the stage if your leader has the Navy type, which ours does. give up to one of your opponent's characters -1 to their cost during this turn. So the turn that this comes into play, with your leader's effect, you can actually -3 someone. For 1 cost, and swinging with our leader, we can subtract someone's cost by 3 the turn that we play Marineford. And then for the rest of the game, with Marineford and with our leader's effect, we're -2ing to anything's cost that we need. That's important. That's a good thing, right? Because from then on, if we draw multiple Marinefords, no problem. We can trash that to draw a card with our leader's effect. Okay, very, very, very strong synergy. So let's keep going. Ultimately, though, this is an excellent character for what we're trying to do. It's not Navy, so, you know, that does kind of limit us with, like, searching options from, like, brand new or something, unfortunately, very unfortunately. And, again, unfortunately, the CP9 searcher, or the Spandam, the CP searcher, he is leader locked to CP leaders. So, very, very unfortunate. Okay, next up is Dracula Mihawk. I think pretty much everyone knows what this does. This is a 9 cost, 9,000 power, you know, beater that has on play, place 1 character with a cost of 7 or less at the bottom of the owner's deck. Okay, with our leader, now it's an 8, and with Marineford, now it's a 9. So you can hit everything in the game outside of a 10 cost. And that's without investing even a single Dawn or a single card, well, as long as this card's in play, right? That's huge. That is huge. Do not sleep on that effect and how big this character is. That is a 9 cost 9k that when it comes into play, you are bottom decking realistically any card in the game. You're realistically on the turn the sinners play, remember they'll be on 8 Dawn, right? If you play this on curve, they will either have an 8, the biggest character they'll have, unless it's a ramp deck, will be an 8 cost character or a 9 cost character. So whatever that is, if you have Marineford down and you use your leader's ability, boom, -2 to their cost, you can hit it with Dracula Mihawk. Okay, so excellent, excellent synergy with the deck. Next up we have Sogeking. This is a 7 cost, 6,000 power, 1,000 counter character. And on play, return up to 1 character with a cost of 6 or less to the owner's hand. Then, here's the really nice part, draw 2 and trash 2 cards. So you're cycling through 2 cards, you're feeding your trash for your Rob Lucci. And, by the way, if you need to, you can bounce your Rob Lucci. Y'all see that, right? You can just bounce Rob Lucci back. You fuel the trash by 2 and just use them again next turn. So that is potentially very strong, right? That is now, yes, you can always bounce your opponent's character back as well, but you know, always always remember interactions like this so you can use your characters to their highest potential, pilot your deck to its highest, you know, potential. Okay, very nice, very strong card here. A little bit understated for what you're getting, I feel like, personally, but it is able to bounce a 6 or less and realistically a 7 or an 8 or less if we have Marineford down. Okay, same idea with Zeph here. So when this character, actually let me read the Dawn ×1 in a second. This is a 5 cost 6k 1,000 counter. That alone is fine. And then it has 2 pretty relevant effects for what we're doing. On play, return up to 1 character with a cost of 3 or less to the owner's hand. Then you may trash 2 cards from the top of your deck. So even if you don't get this next Dawn ×1 effect we're going to talk about, just playing this card, you're bouncing something, and you are trashing 2 cards from the top of your deck to fuel your trash for your Rob Lucci. Very important. Oh, and the Dawn ×1. When this character deals damage to your opponent's life, you may trash 7 cards from the top of your deck. That's probably not as relevant for us, but it's still worth talking about. And I'm going to talk about it at the end of the video. This might have some synergy with like the 7 cost Luffy from Dressrosa. Like maybe you run Rebecca, the 1 cost Rebecca Searcher, with Zeph, and you know you trash more cards like that. Maybe you'll eventually work in a CP package to go with this, like through Bluno, Khalifa, and so on. Like I don't know. I just think there's some potential there. We'll talk about it at the end though. So next up we got Kaido. Just the big man himself, right? 10 cost, 12,000 power on play. Return up to 1 character with a cost of 8 or less, and up to 1 character with a cost of 3 or less to the owner's hand. So potentially with our leader's effect and with Marineford down, on the turn we play this, we can actually bounce any card in the game. It could be a 10 cost, right? With Marineford and our leader's effect in active. That's nothing to glance over, because you're probably going to be playing against quite a few decks that run Kaido. Like, you might be running against, you know, maybe a Queen deck or who knows what, and then you're going to be able to bounce their cards. Now, you know, you got to pick and choose wisely, right? But it just depends on the board state. But anyway, you can even bounce an 8 cost in like a 5, right? An 8 cost and a 5 cost if you have Marineford down. Or maybe you switch it up. Maybe you get an 8 cost and a 4 cost. You see what I'm saying? You can kind of mix and match it however you need to. And that's if you have Marineford down and you swing with your leader. Very strong synergy in this deck. Excellent. Okay, next up is the new card, and he's only running 2 of the Borsalino. This list is 7 cost, 8,000 power, on play. Place up to 1 character with a cost of 4 or lower to the bottom of the other's deck. Okay, so with the leader, it's a 5 or lower, and with Marineford, it's a 6 or lower. Just very solid. And it's a nice 7 cost 8k on curve. You know, that's potentially very strong. And that's something we need to talk about too. Look at this curve. This is a deck that wants to go first, not second. And most black decks actually want to go second, typically speaking. But look what this is running. Here's your turn 2. So 3 Dawn, 5 Dawn, 7 Dawn, or Sogeking, I should say, either one, and then 9 Dawn. So there you go. Just very, very powerful. And yes, of course, if you need to use your Rob Lucci, you do what you have to do. But if you look at what we just did there, okay, Zeph is actually just insane in a deck like this, because number one, it fuels your trash, like we already said. But on top, and you don't have to use that effect. It says you may trash 2 cards from the top of your deck. But like, look how this works with Zeph. If you play him on turn 3, as in like 1, 3, 5, like your Dawn curve is, you know, on turn 1 you have 1, turn 2 you have 3, turn 3 you have 5. If you play this on turn 3, on curve, you can bounce anything they played last turn if you attack with your leader as well. Because now it'll hit a 4 or less. I don't know, just extremely powerful. Very, very strong. And now you have a 5 cost 6k on the board. And yeah, just excellent. And then it chains into this, where, okay, they just wasted that turn, and now they're going to have 6 Dawn. Oh, I should have mentioned that. Here's your 1 drop. Here's your turn 1. If you can get this down and go the odd curve we just said, where Fukuro, Zeph, you know, where it's Fukuro, Zeph, and Sogeking into Mihawk, I don't think anyone can survive that unless it's, I don't know, maybe like a Zoro if it can flood the board, maybe. But yeah, I don't know. That just seems extremely solid. Okay, and then Sanji's Pilaf we already talked about. This is just 3 cost draw 2. It's a divination for the Magic players. I think people have called it Pot of Greed for Yu-Gi-Oh, but I didn't play Yu-Gi-Oh, so please don't butcher me in the comment section below if I messed that up. Anyway, so there's the first list, and this was 5-0, first place in a card shop, some type of random card shop event, but it went 5-0, got first place, so it clearly worked. And then we go on to the next list. Okay, and notice that, like, I clicked next list. Look how close these are. Like, the first 4 are just, you know, obviously the leader, but it's running all of the same stuff there. But we got a few differences that are intermingled there. Okay, so let's go ahead and hop into it. So the Borsalino, Tashigi, and Suru, those are all 4 ofs. 3 Sabo, that's very specific, specifically 3. 4 Toy Soldiers. 3 Mancherry, 3 Rebecca. See, this list is a pretty good amount different, but at the same time, it's still very much the same. 4 Rob Lucci, 4 Mihawk, 2 Sogeking, 4 Zeph, 3. He runs 4 Kaido, 3 Borsalino, and 4 Marineford. Yeah, that Marineford's got to be staple. I mean, at least from what I've seen. We'll see how things go in the future, obviously. But the Marineford makes too much sense in this deck as a 4 of, because you always want it to combo with your leader's effect. And then, okay, any more you get after that is just gravy, right? Because you can just trash it to draw a card. Or, I mean, think about it like this. If you need to, this is just hypothetically. Hypothetically, if you need to, so say you have 1 down. Okay, here's how much you can reduce someone's cost. Attack with your leader, -1. Tap the Marineford that's already in play, -1. Play the new one, -1. Excuse me, -1. And tap the new one. That was -4. You can -4 to someone's cost if you have to replace your Marineford. So that's potentially very strong. I'm not saying that will come up very often. It's just something to think about. So it's potential cost reduction that you could do for just 1 Dawn. If you already had a Marineford down, if you didn't have to cycle it to draw a card, if you needed to actually get cost reduction. Okay, this list is running the Sabo, and I really like that. And I also really like the idea of, like I was saying earlier, maybe running the 1-cost Rebecca. But we'll see. We'll see how the meta evolves and, you know, how the decks evolve over time. But this card, in my opinion, is just a staple in black. I feel like this is now the natural curve of the deck. And they're actually not running it's almost like instead of running Fukuro, they're running Sabo. But honestly, I'd like to run both. Now, I understand you can't just run every card, right? You gotta balance the deck and make it work. But, I mean, when you have 3-cost Borsalino, 3-cost Fukuro, 4-cost Borsalino, 5-cost Sabo, and then also sprinkle in the 4-cost Lucci now, I don't know. There's a lot of good things to be said about that, man. There's a lot of good things to be said. But either way, so this guy's running 3 Sabo. This is the OP04, 5-cost, 6,000 power, 1,000 counter, blocker, on play, draw 2, trash 2, and your characters can't be KO'd by card effects until the start of your next turn. Very, very strong. 4 toy soldiers. This guy's running some recursion in Mancherry and Rebecca. So this is a new card, OP05, called Mancherry. It's a 1-cost, 0 power, 1k counter. Activate main, pay 1, rest this character. You may return 2 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order. And that's before the colon. So you do have to do that if you want to get this effect here, which is return 1 cost 3 to 5 cost, or 1 cost 3 to 5 black character card from your trash to your hand. I think it should say 1 3 to 5 cost black character card from your trash to your hand. I could be wrong. Y'all get the point either way. So you're going to be able to grab back 3 to 5, right? So that's a Fukuro, that's a Sabo, a Borsalino, a Rob Lucci. Now this guy's not running Fukuro like we already said, but it's also potentially a 2k counter. You know, you can't sleep on that in a pinch where it's like, okay, I need a little bit of staying power. So you might need to, you know, snag your, you know, one-legged toy soldier, your Suru, your Tashigi, whatever. And then also, Rebecca is very similar to that. This is the 4-cost, 0 power, 1k counter blocker Rebecca that has return up to 1 on play. This is an on-play effect. Return up to 1 black character other than Rebecca with a cost of 3 to 7 from the trash to your hand, and then play 1 cost 3 or less black character from your hand to the field rested. So the playing effect is not as crazy, but you could potentially throw out a Suru. You wouldn't want to throw out a Tashigi. But I guess you could throw out a Toy Soldier or a Suru. You could throw out a Mancherry if needed, but it would come into play rested, so you couldn't do the effect. Yeah, it'd be nice to have better synergy with that part. Like a Kobe. I mean, would that be that crazy to throw in a Kobe for this effect? To just to have synergy with it? I don't know. Something to think about. But other than that, at the very least, you're still grabbing a 3 to 7 back from your trash and putting in your hand. And it is a black character. It does have to be a black character. Okay? So you can't grab Sogi King. You can't grab Zeph. Can't grab the Blues Borsalino or anything like that. And then everything else in this list is the same. Well, not the same amounts, but the same cards we already know about. Out of the 2 lists we already saw, so this is another 5-0 first place finish from Japan, from the East, from I guess like a little card shop called Eon Town, or Eon Town. I don't know how you say that. And I like this list as well, but I kind of like the first list slightly better because while Sabo is excellent, you already have this insanely strong 5-drop, you know, built in with Zeph, and it's just so much more aggressive and better at controlling the board. I like Fukuro in the deck, and I want Sabo in the deck, so honestly, I would consider even dropping like one of these cards here before removing the Sabo, so that I could get my Fukuros in. That's just me, though, you know, and we'll see how the decks evolve. Okay, but other than that, very, very straightforward. Let's go ahead and look at the last list. Okay, so there you go. Very, very similar as well. All of these decks are very similar. They're all running relatively the same. Like, it's kind of like the deck, it seems already figured out. This is kind of a mixture, though, of the first and second deck. So they're running 4 Borsalinos, 4 Tashigi, 4 Suru, 4 Sabo, 4 Bartolomeo. Remember, that's a 2k counter as well. That's a 2k counter blocker from Dressrosa from OP04. Let me zoom in on it. There it is. 2 of the Rebecca, the one we just talked about, the blocker on play of Rebecca. 3 Rob Lucci. So this one's only running 3 of the Rob Lucci card. Interesting. 4 Dracula Mihawk, 3 Sogeking, 4 Zeph, 3 Kaido. I actually do like that going down to Kaido, but maybe I'm crazy. 3 Borsellino, 4 Marine Ford, and 4 Sanji's Pilaf. Yeah, pretty straightforward. They swapped out the Cracker. What was it called? Let me see something. One-legged toy soldier. They swapped out the one-legged toy soldier for Bartolomeo. And this was the first place as well at a 32-person tournament, it looks like. So all of these decks were successful, and they're working the way they should, it looks like. But I wonder if they'll change at all. Because I do like how this guy's already gone down. He's gone down to 3 Kaidos. Because you do have to imagine you're drawing a lot of cards in this deck. He's running 4 Sanji's Pilaf. He's running Sakazuki, the leader, of course, with his effect. 4 Sabos. Recursion in Rebecca here. What else? Yeah. Oh, yeah, Sogeking, of course. That's draw 2 trash 2. You're drawing a lot of cards. So I do like that quite a bit. And you're just bouncing everything they play. Again, you see the curve, right, guys? Like, you see this curve. Now, they're not running... see, that's the one thing I do like about Fukuro. But at the same time, I understand the Sabo. Because their curve... Well, no, I think I just like the Fukuro better. I actually... So I'll just say Bartolomeo in this case. Because it's about the bounce curve. You know, Fukuro's at least a blocker. But then you'd go straight into Zeph. Bounce you know, you're going to bounce a 4 or less minimum, even though it says 3, because remember your leader's effect. You're bouncing a 4 or less minimum, okay, and that's if you have no Marine Ford down, because your turn 1 play that you hope for is Marine Ford. So okay, you're bouncing a 4 or less, and that's all you need to, right? If you're on the odd curve and you went first and you just play this right on curve, so boom, bounce whatever guy you played last turn. Sogeking, bounce whatever guy you played last turn, and then into 3, 7, 9. Sorry, I had to do some counting there, guys. 5, 7, 9, not 3, 7, 9. And then Mihawk, okay, bounce whatever guy you play last turn. It's just into Kaido, bounce whatever guy you play last turn. It never ends. You know, you're just constantly pushing things back. Well, all right, guys. That's actually. Let me do one more thing. The direction that I kind of want to mess around here is going more of a Dressrosa package, like I said, to fuel the trash and have another 1-drop in your Rebecca. But I need to save that for another video and see how things evolve in the meta before I you know, lay that out. But alright, guys, that's about it for these videos. What list did y'all think was the best? Do you think this leader is going to be cracked or what? Like, is this leader going to be awesome? Is he going to be mediocre? I typically don't do the tier lists. I don't like them. I know from what I understand, they do pretty well, like with viewership. But I don't really care for tier lists. But yeah, what do you guys think? What do y'all think of this new leader, Sakazuki? How good is this deck going to be? Just judging by the deck lists that are out currently for OP05, and y'all see I'm recording this on Wednesday, September 6th. This is the only information we really have right now is what you see here. Law's still doing fine. This is OP05. This is OP05 in the East right now. Law is still doing fine. The new purple Luffy seems like it's doing just fine as well. Bello Betty's popping up a few places, not as much as I thought she would, because a lot of people were going crazy over Bello Betty's effect. I do watch a lot of the other YouTubers, right? And a lot of people were just going crazy over this leader's effect, but it doesn't look like she's doing, you know, she's doing fine. Like, see, here's one where she went 7-0, 5-1, you know, that's not bad. I think there was one more up here that I saw. Yeah, 5-0. But it does look like more people are playing like Purple Luffy. I saw, excuse me, throat's drying out. I saw a lot of Purple Luffys. Quite a few NLs too. But we do have to wait for everything to stabilize, right? We have to wait for the new, you know, for the new meta to be broken in and see what works, what doesn't, you know. And who knows? Maybe we're finally at a point in the game now that we're 5 sets deep and 10 structured sets deep, that maybe we're finally at the point where the game is going to become pretty balanced, where we start seeing the, you know, the classic rock paper scissors archetypes where you have real control decks, Yeah, we already have aggro decks. we know all about the aggro decks, and then like some real mid-range decks, which I think we have as well. To be more specific, I think we've always lacked control decks in this game, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, that's good. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's good to an extent, but it's also not good, because that's how you get an imbalanced meta, an imbalanced format. But anyway, so you guys tell me what y'all think. You know, I'm seeing quite a bit of Sakazukis here. This guy's just like recording them like all at a time. You can tell, like, okay, I'll do all the laws real quick. I'll do all the Luffys. I'll do all the Sakazukis. He's just putting whoever runs this site over at OnePieceTopDecks.com. They were just putting it in a specific order, or they weren't putting it in any specific order. They were just putting them in as they could get them. Like, all right, well, they'll just sort by leaders and do it like that. I think I could be wrong. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah. I'm really looking forward to OP04 over in the West, but looking at OP05 in the East is going to be so much fun to watch and see how that goes. So, okay, guys, I'll leave you alone. Appreciate y'all making it this far if you did, and please don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps me out. And until next time, guys, peace.